on 90.5. And we have a special guest here on the show. My guy over here, Luke Parker. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I just enjoyed this Thanksgiving weekend, man.
Oh, it was awesome, huh?
Oh, it was awesome, man. To get some good food for once in a while, man. Spend time with family. Watch football. The game. Yep. Oh, yeah. Can't forget about the football, man. This is in the huddle.
There were some good games over on Thanksgiving. We'll get into it later, though.
Yes, sir.
You gentlemen ready to get this rolling?
Yeah, man.
Let's do it.
Rob, you know me. I'm just ready to get this show on the road.
The catchphrase of all catchphrases.
Hoffman, the Seahawks defeated the Vikings 37-30. What do you guys think about this game, and where do you think both of these teams are standing right now? What do you got, Leel?
All right, let me break it down to you, Rob. You know, the thing about the Seahawks, and what makes this Seahawks team so dangerous this year, is the fact that they got a running game to complement Russell Wilson. I mean, Kirk Cousins, 23 carries, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, and Rashad Penny.
And he's out with an injury for a little while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where did his brother come from? 15 carries, 74 yards.
7th round pick a couple years ago.
Yeah, and they're sharing the rock. And it was one play where Chris Carson subbed himself out so Rashad Penny could get on the ball and get a touchdown. Yeah, when you play together like that, this is a scary team. They won the football.
It is.
Gutsy play called by Pete Carroll, I would say, who's known to be aggressive, which actually cost him a Super Bowl, you can say. Too a little aggressive, but it worked.
It's a style. You gotta appreciate his style, I feel.
You gotta get, and they were up 34-24 against the Vikings when they decided to do a fake punt. It caught everybody off guard, but unfortunately, DK Metcalf fumbled the football. Vikings ended up getting the ball back.
I remember talking to my roommates. I'm watching the game, and it's 4th and 2, and we're talking about how the chances of the Vikings winning the game are going up like crazy. They've got them to 4th down. They're going to punt the ball, and then the fake punt was executed perfectly, and then everything changes. I mean, the Metcalf fumble happened just a couple plays later, but that fake punt took 2.5 minutes off the clock for the Vikings to move the football down the field. So even though the fumble happened a few plays later, that's still a huge play getting that 4th down conversion.
It was such a momentum swing,
Yes, sir.
They executed that perfectly. They got the ball down the field, wasted a lot more time than they needed to waste. And obviously it turned out, in the end, obviously DK Metcalf fumbled sadly for him, but I think it worked out pretty well. Time possession for the game, the Seattle Seahawks had 39 minutes for time possession, and the Vikings had 20 minutes. That's how you win a game right there. It's just controlling
Exactly. The Vikings, man, first of all, Seattle's a good team. And this was a very important game because
I would go as far as to say they're a great team.
Yeah, they're a great team.
A great team.
Even though I think if you subtract Russell Wilson, that team is not the same.
That team,
if you call that a great team. But I think they're a great team because of Russell Wilson. Me personally.
I think they're a great team because of Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. The coaching on that team is big.
They're well coached. But sometimes I feel like Pete Carroll get over his own head.
I can agree with that. But let me tell you this as well. What I see on this team is something that you don't see with a lot of NFL teams. Chris Carson was drafted as a 7th round running back in 2017. So think about that for a second. He's a 7th round running back, and he gets 100 yards a game. Like that's what he does. He goes out there and he runs the football like 25 times. So they're able to run the ball effectively without a superstar running back per se. Their running back is someone who was drafted as just like almost, it could have been an afterthought for another team, someone that never gets out of the practice squad. But the scheme for the Seahawks, their run game, is done so well that these guys that you wouldn't know the names of otherwise, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, are able to come in and do such a great job under this coaching staff, under this scheme.
And obviously, Chris Carson was hurt a little bit last year.
It's also extremely important to note that when this team does have to go to the air, you have one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league.
You got Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett has been playing out of his mind. Metcalf is only going to get better as he gets going.
Don't forget Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon
and he gets acclimated to the offense. But real quickly here, Rob. Another thing that's staggering with the Seattle Seahawks is the fact that they're amongst the best in the league. They are the best in winning close games. They win close games. They went on the road against the 49ers, win that game. They win close games. I believe they're undefeated in games that are 4 points or less. So that shows you that this team is battle tested in a tough, stacked NFC conference with all them Bulldogs that you got over in the NFC.
And you know what? Helps with that is MVP candidate. It's really a 2-horse race for the MVP right now in Lamar and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is always in the mix for these things. He's a guy you always want to have the ball at the end of the game. Because like when you see him have a bad play, it's not like he threw an interception. He threw a pick 6 in this game. This pick 6 was so far from being his fault, it's ridiculous. Like that ball bounced like 2-3 times before it got picked off. So there's some things that are out of your control. But when he has his game plan laid out in front of him, he does great things. I do want to touch on the Vikings for a second here.
And before you touch on the Vikings real quickly, Luke, you got anything to say about that?
I just think Seattle's a true playoff team. I mean, they're solid. Them running the football is going to give them, when they're going into a colder atmosphere, especially being in Seattle, they're going to be able to control games and win them in the end. And the running game is just going to set up the passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, you see
up to the division lead now.
Yeah, a lot of the plays from Seattle, they run a 6-man offense a lot of the time. They're one of the only teams to do so. It's them, Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think another team in there. But they're one of the rare teams to do that with 6 offensive linemen, and that just sets up blacks and passes. And it's so hard to defend.
Exactly. And the Vikings here, man. You see, the Vikings, I won't get into it. Listen, Kirk Cousins played a good game. He played a good game.
He really did.
Don't get me wrong, but
he also had the ball taken out of his hands.
Exactly, and he had a chance to win the game. You want to be in a predicament where, you could bring the game to overtime. You have the ball last, and it's you. The ball is in your court. You're 0-7, now 0-8 in Monday Night Football games. This is the rock. Can you lead this team to where they need to go? And even though Kirk Cousins played exceptionally well throughout the game, he showed you in the fourth quarter, last drive, he's not the guy that can take you to the promised land.
Cousins' success this year has come because of the reliance on the running game from the Vikings.
Dalvin Cook, of course.
When you give when Dalvin Cook is A, healthy, and B, given the role that he got drafted for a few years ago, Dalvin Cook is a beast running the football. And when you have such a good running back, you're able to the whole offense moves back, and it gives Kirk Cousins less pressure. And when he has to throw the ball, he's able to take his time and throw. And he's looked much better this year. And his interception in this game was not his fault. Like the ball.
I thought he could have threw the ball a little bit better because he was covered. To me, Stephon Diggs was covered exceptionally well.
I do trust Stephon Diggs in almost any scenario. Like he's your number one guy. I think you should trust him.
He's not Deion. He's not D-Hop. He's not DeAndre Hopkins.
Certainly not.
Where he's covered, but he's not covered.
He's still your number one guy.
Stephon Diggs, I felt like he could have looked elsewhere because he was covered. Yeah. He could have threw the ball a little bit better. If you want to throw it more on the outside, it was over his head kind of. He could have caught it. It was going to be a tough catch regardless. But even in the last play, the fourth down play, I thought that was he was covered. You know what I'm saying? He could have looked elsewhere.
The fourth down play, they turn over on downs.
Exactly.
And he was definitely covered. And I feel like he had a little more time than he let on there.
Yeah, exactly. He had a little bit more time.
I feel like he rushed it a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
And like that's something that you can't teach him that. He's got to learn that. Like he's not an old quarterback. He's got time. He's going to be with the team next year.
But that's a quarterback that's been in the league enough longer for you to say, all right, you have it. Take your time. Look through progression. If the play's not there,
don't force it.
Don't force it.
He's forcing a lot of throws, and it's showing. He's sort of panicking back there. It sort of looks like,
Yeah, it definitely can seem like that too. So, Luke, my question for you is on the topic of the Vikings. They're now 8-4, I believe. 8-4 team.
8-4, yeah.
They one game out of the NFC North. Where do you see this team going? How do you think their season shakes out?
I don't think. In my eyes, I see Green Bay winning that division, just because I think that they have a easier schedule, and I just don't see Kirk Cousins winning big games. And I know that's what it's come down to a lot for him. But I mean, yes, at the end of that game, he lost Dalvin Cook.
I seen Green.
He lost Dalvin Cook, and that hurt him.
It does. They did say that Dalvin Cook's injury does not seem too serious. He should be back next week. They do play Green Bay one more time. If they beat Green Bay, and then. They got to win every game, right? If they wanted to win the division.
Yeah.
But there are two options for who they would play. The two wild card teams.
I mean, that's how big this game was. Because if the Vikings won, they would have been on top of their division, had a
No, they would have been tied.
They would have been tied.
They would have been second because they don't have the head-to-head right now.
But they played Green Bay again at home.
They would have had a chance. They would control their own fate.
Yeah, they would control their own fate, basically.
Right, now it's on Green Bay. It's on
your-
Green Bay to lose, and Green Bay is a team that has shown inconsistency. Although they've been very good this year, don't get me wrong.
I think either team in that division, the Packers or the Vikings, they're a scary wild card team. You don't want to face them in the wild card. I mean, think about when you got Minnesota, you got Adam Thielen coming back. I mean, Dalvin Cook hopefully will be healthy. I mean, I know he said he's gonna be fine, but we have a lot of guys coming back from injury, and that team's gonna get a lot of star power coming back. That is gonna be scary. You know.
I mean, the Vikings. Listen, the Vikings are 3-4. They're 3-4 on the road. They're 5-0 at home. More than likely, they're not going to be playing a home game if they don't win that division. They're going to have to go on the road. They're going to have to travel, and they're 3-4 on the road. So can they go on the road if they have to go to Seattle or Green Bay or the 49ers? Can they go on the road and win? I don't think they can.